Hey, good afternoon everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make cream of portobello mushroom soup. This has a very nice flavor. It's extremely simple to make. You only need a few utensils. Now, I'm going to be using a whisk in the soup pot. If you don't have one, you can always prepare this with a spatula in a frying pan because we're going to be making a roux from scratch. Now, if your roux turns out a little lumpy, which it may if you're new at this, what you can always do is just pass it through a strainer to get rid of the lumps, or take the entire soup before you put the mushrooms in and throw it in a blender, and it will do the same thing. So first thing I'm going to do is get my chicken stock going. Here's the list of the ingredients. Now, I use an organic bouillon base. It's just awesome. You can use regular chicken stock, whatever you want. The important part is you follow the proportions if you want the soup to come out right. Now, I am using portobellos today instead of regular mushrooms because they're just like so impressive. And what I'll do is I'll give this a quick wash because depending where you shop, your produce may come pre-fondled, if you know what I mean. So I've just passed this under the tap and wiped off any surface dirt. You really don't want to be soaking the inside of the cap. I mean, it's going in the soup, but you don't want it waterlogged. The proportions for this product are 1 teaspoon per cup of boiling water. I'm going to make 3 cups, so I will just eyeball a tablespoon. And I've just boiled a kettle before I started shooting, and I will just add the water. This will dissolve very quickly, so I'll just set it aside. Now this next step is not strictly necessary. I like to do it because it makes for a very nice presentation, and you got to kind of be careful here because what you want to do is you just want to slice the end off the mushroom. That's no good for anything anyways. And then slice it just about down the middle, very carefully that you don't break it. And what you can do after is, now don't try to do these too thin because they'll just snap on you. If you are careful and you saw a way at it, and I'll just do the one for you to get the idea, is you save slices like this for presentation on the top of your soup bowl, which should impress the heck out of your guests. Now that done, I'll prepare to deal with the mushroom. So just snap the ends off first, chop those up rough. This is going to make a lot of mushrooms, so you don't have to worry about how you do this. Now what you can do is, if you want, you can do them of varying sizes. So let's say you want some larger pieces, you know, for show. Because you got to remember, people got to eat this too, right? Now there's 2 huge pieces of mushrooms, they can't get it on their spoon, so you may want to cut them in half like that and just play with it any way you like. That's all done. And you can see I left some pieces quite large, and I did make a point of taking one piece and chopping it up very fine so it will diffuse the flavor through the soup. Start heating up your pan on medium or so. You don't want it too hot because you don't want the butter to burn. So put in your 2 tablespoons of butter. Yeah, left-handed stirring is not going to work, and I don't want to block the shot, so okay, so as soon as the butter is completely melted, or just like a titch left, toss all the flour in at once. And you will have noticed I do measure for this one, because if you don't measure your roux, it won't come out right. I'll zoom in a little. You're going to cook this very, very carefully, making sure it does not burn. If you burn your roux, your soup is ruined and you'll have to start again. So make that decision before you add the stock. This will take a little practice because if you undercook your roux, your soup will taste floury, and if you overcook it and burn it, it will have an off taste. So what you do is you watch it until there's all these nice little bubbles like pancake batter going through it, and you can smell it. So it should have a nice toasty smell and just starting to brown a little without going dark brown. And that's why you have to have your stock ready to go to stop the cooking process. Like you can see in that corner there on the right here, that's starting to get a little too brown. So I'm going to stir a bit more and get my stock. This will seize up very quickly. Some schools of thought say toss it all in at once and get rid of the lumps later. I prefer to go for a more gradual approach. And you can see that just that little bit of stock has caused it to thicken up that much. So what you do is just keep going, keep it on the heat, whisk the lumps out of it as you go. Now, if you're planning to do the blender thing, don't worry about this. Just stir it all in, transfer it to the blender, and zoom it all up. Now, if you've chased it sufficiently, where it's starting to look a little creamy, what you can do is you can give yourself the luxury of allowing it to thicken up a little before you keep adding stock. Don't let it get back to the beginning with clumps, or you may not get it back. So just add your milk. What's important is you want to heat this up, but you don't want it to come to a boil. So I can feel it thickening up a little through the whisk, and I'm safe to add the mushrooms. Now, if you're worried about breaking up all your lovely mushroom bits, you can switch to a spatula instead of a whisk at this point, or just stir slowly. And I had so much I had to put them in a big bowl. So stir those in. One note is that the soup base I was using did have some salt in it, therefore I did not feel the need to add any. If you want to, go ahead. Now I did turn the heat up a little here to hurry up the process, and also to show you that if it looks like it's starting to come to a boil, if you can start to see froth on the edges of the pan, be prepared A, to remove it off, turn off the heat immediately, or just pull it off the heat, okay? It's okay if it does a little bit of bubbles, but you don't want it to come full boil. This is looking like it's pretty done. Now, if you're gonna do this on low heat, you can simmer it for much longer. I just wanted to show you the technique. I did taste the soup, it came out quite nice. I just didn't want to do it from the bowl and ruin the presentation. Now, as I said, the garnish was optional. Let's hope the mushroom isn't too big for the bowl. No, that'll fit just nicely. Now, that may not cook through, but that's not really the point. It's just supposed to look good. So there's my cream of portobello mushroom soup. I do hope you give this a shot. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again.